James Walker didn't have an easy start in life. Growing up in a tough neighborhood, his family struggled to make ends meet. His mother worked multiple jobs to support him and his two younger sisters, but it was never enough. When James was 15, his father, a man battling alcoholism, left the family. The absence of his father hit James hard, leaving him angry and frustrated, but also determined to take care of his family in whatever way he could. Despite his efforts, things only got worse. As the bills piled up and the rent went unpaid, the family was evicted from their home. James, his mother, and his sisters were forced to move into a shelter. Homelessness became their new reality, and James, barely a teenager, found himself shouldering the burden of a broken home. School, once a place where he could escape his problems, became a distant priority as survival took over. For months, the shelter was the only place they had to call home. Life there was difficult. The constant noise, lack of privacy, and uncertainty of their future weighed heavily on James. He felt ashamed of his circumstances and angry at the world. The shelter wasn't just a temporary stop for them, it felt like a prison. The stigma of being homeless made him feel invisible, like the world had written him off before he even had a chance to prove himself. James, who had always been a good student, found it increasingly hard to focus on school. He was often too tired, too hungry, or too preoccupied with the daily challenges of his life to care about his education. But despite the difficulties, there was one thing that kept James going, a burning desire to change his situation. He knew that if he didn't do something, he and his family could remain trapped in the cycle of poverty forever. It was during one of the lowest points in James' life, after nearly a year of living in shelters, that he met someone who would change the course of his life. His high school guidance counselor, Mrs. Andrews, noticed the change in James, how withdrawn he had become and how his grades had plummeted. Instead of letting him slip through the cracks, she reached out to him, offering her help. At first, James was reluctant. He didn't want anyone's pity, and he certainly didn't want to talk about his family's situation. But Mrs. Andrews was persistent. She encouraged him to come to her office after school, just to talk. Over time, James opened up about the struggles he and his family were facing. Mrs. Andrews listened without judgment and gave him something he hadn't had in a long time, hope. She introduced James to several after-school programs designed to help students in challenging situations, including a local organization that provided mentorship and job opportunities to at-risk youth. With her support, James began working part-time at a nearby car wash, where he earned enough money to help his family with small expenses. The job wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. More importantly, it gave James a sense of purpose and control over his life that he hadn't felt in a long time. Working at the car wash, James quickly developed a reputation for being hardworking and reliable. His supervisor, Mr. Perez, noticed his dedication and began giving him more responsibilities. One day, after finishing his shift, James overheard Mr. Perez talking to another employee about the struggles of running a small business. Intrigued, James asked him about it. Mr. Perez explained the challenges he faced as a small business owner, managing finances, finding customers, and keeping the business afloat. For James, it was a revelation. He had never thought about what went on behind the scenes of a business before, but now he was fascinated. He began asking Mr. Perez more questions about how the business worked, and before long, he was learning about everything from budgeting to marketing. Inspired by what he learned, James started to dream about running his own business one day. He didn't know how or when it would happen, but the idea planted a seed in his mind. He saw entrepreneurship as a way out, a way to break the cycle of poverty and create a better life for himself and his family. Determined to turn his dreams into reality, James began saving every dollar he could from his part-time job. He also started spending his free time learning everything he could about business. He devoured books from the local library on entrepreneurship, marketing, and finance. He watched videos and read articles online, teaching himself the basics of running a small business. But James wasn't just learning, he was planning. He wanted to start a business that he was passionate about, and after much thought, he came up with an idea, a mobile car detailing service. He knew cars, having worked at the car wash for nearly 2 years, and he realized that many people didn't have the time to take their cars in for a wash. His service would come to them. With the little savings he had and a small loan from a local nonprofit that supported young entrepreneurs, James bought his first set of equipment, a power washer, cleaning supplies, and a small van. He spent hours designing flyers, building a simple website, and reaching out to potential customers. It wasn't easy. Many people were skeptical of a teenager running a business, and there were days when James felt like giving up. But he refused to quit. James' hard work and persistence began to pay off. Slowly but surely, he started to gain customers. People appreciated the convenience of his service, and word of mouth spread. His first few clients were impressed by his professionalism and attention to detail, and soon, he had a steady stream of business. Within a year, James' mobile car detailing service had grown beyond what he had ever imagined. He expanded his operations, hiring 2 of his friends from the shelter to help with the increasing demand. They worked long hours, but James was proud of what they were building. He was no longer just surviving, he was thriving. The business continued to grow, and by the time James was 21, he had multiple vans, a small team of employees, and a loyal customer base. His mobile car detailing service had become one of the most popular in the area. But more than that, James had become a role model in his community. He had gone from being homeless to running a successful business, and his story inspired others who were struggling to believe that they, too, could turn their lives around. As James' business grew, he never forgot where he came from. He knew how hard it was to be homeless, and he was determined to give back to those who were in the same situation he had once been in. He started a program through his business that offered free car detailing services to single mothers and families living in shelters, helping them keep their vehicles clean and reliable. He also became involved in mentoring young people in his community, sharing his story and offering guidance to those who wanted to start their own businesses. He partnered with local schools and organizations to provide workshops on entrepreneurship, teaching young people the skills they needed to succeed in business. Through his work, James not only built a thriving business, but also helped lift others out of poverty. His story became a testament to the power of resilience, hard work, and the belief that no matter how difficult your circumstances, it is always possible to rise above them. Today, James is a successful entrepreneur, running multiple businesses, and continuing to grow his car detailing empire. But more than his financial success, he is proud of the impact he has made on his community. He has helped dozens of young people find their own path to success, and his program for homeless families has made a tangible difference in the lives of those who are struggling. James' journey from homelessness to entrepreneurial success is a powerful reminder that no matter how hard life gets, there is always hope. With determination, hard work, and a vision for the future, it is possible to overcome even the greatest obstacles. He knows that his story isn't just about business, it's about resilience. It's about refusing to let your circumstances define you and finding the strength to build the life you want, no matter how impossible it may seem. James' legacy is one of hope, and his story continues to inspire others to believe in themselves and their ability to create a better future.
Through this video will help us improve the ability to concentrate on one thing. Listening to it every day will help you improve your English listening skills. Super fast English also increases the ability to concentrate on each task we do. Something we often hear somewhere. Being present, that is a good habit.